Friday. I used to hate Fridays. I actually never really liked whoever came up with the bullshit. You need to work 5 days a week and then take 2 days off. It's such a strange thing as an entrepreneur to only think about your business, your enterprise for 5 days a week and then shut off. I started in business when I was 20 years old. I haven't known anything else. I've only ever eaten what I've killed, which means nobody's ever given me a check that I haven't earned myself through being entrepreneurial and having a business. And so I've never worked 5-day work weeks. It just hasn't been in my cards. I think that's scary for a lot of people. I have friends who are successful businessmen and they're like, oh, what you do is crazy. And it's just like, I haven't ever known anything else. I never wanted anything else. I never fit in the box, as all this new information's coming out about folks with the ADHD, I guess, personality profile. Some people call it the hunter-gatherer personality profile. I never plugged in. And so the only way I saw freedom was through, I guess you could say, like being my own man, doing my own thing, buying into my own ideas. And so that's, for me, entrepreneurial, and that for me is you never shut off. So I haven't really discovered that shutting down is a good thing. And when I turned 40, I feel like I got my brain finally. Everything else up to 40 for me was just practice. Something happened at 40 years old where I stopped being so wild west and chasing every idea out there and started getting organized. It's funny, a switch kind of flipped when I decided to dive into finance. And I don't like looking at spreadsheets. And over the course of a year, my first CFO, Don, working with him, I fell in love with data and information and spreadsheets and finance. And this led me down the path of wanting to learn more about data and how data affects what's in my gut. Because as a stage one business, when you are very wild-eyed and everything's in your head and entrepreneurial, you're gonna have entrepreneurial seizures, and that's what I call them. You're gonna chase things and they're gonna be bad ideas, and you're gonna lose money. And if you don't have a really solid plan, business, product, offering, you're not gonna make it, right? That's just the facts. And if you don't have the I don't even want to say stamina, basically the DNA to win. And when I say DNA, I'm talking about you would rather die than go work for somebody else and build somebody else's dream. Like if I had to go build somebody else's dream, I would be not only miserable, it would ruin me. And so I think this entrepreneurial mindset is you're not only going to win at all costs, there are no obstacles. There are no obstacles to winning. There's no obstacles in life. That's how entrepreneurs think. They just move forward. And every mistake, every failure, I hate those words, failures, it's bullshit. There are no failures. There's only tuition payments. Listen, you don't learn about this stuff in school, and you can only learn about it by doing. And so you're going to pay the tuition, you're going to deal with the failures. It's just a part of life. And then it comes down to how unreasonable are you and how much discomfort can you deal with. And a lot of times when you get to the point of discomfort, people quit. I've never had that. I don't really know what that means. It's just one thing. Even if it's the end of one thing, it's a transition to the next. And people take that to heart, like, oh, I did something wrong. It's like, no, you didn't do anything wrong. Like, life as an entrepreneur is about discovering something new. It's about innovation. It's about testing your ideas. It's bringing something to market. It may or may not work, but data, and as you go from a stage 1 business to a stage 2 business and to a stage 3 business, data is there to reinforce your gut, and data is there to reinforce your ideas, and it checks you as a person who is casting a vision, a long-term strategic vision. It's really important that as soon as you can, you get into the data and make sure that as you scale, you have less and less entrepreneurial seizures. Again, it took me 20 years to get to a point where, okay, I was like, I got a brand now. Things started to feel organized. Things went from reckless to tactical. And of course, I did it across 2 brands. I did it across my footwear and apparel brand and across my nutritional brand. And both brands are pretty massive brands. You know, there's between the 2 of them, there's between 400 and 500 people and over $200 million in annual revenue and probably a value of, you know, close to $1 billion. So they're not small, and I'm not special. I didn't go to business school. I dropped out of college. But I do have this, and I live in this tiny little town. Check this out. Like, I live in this tiny little New England town, right? Like, I didn't go to freaking Harvard or anything. But I'll never work for anybody else in my life. Like, I've made that choice. There is no option. There's no other option except for me to win at what I'm doing. No other option. And so I got to make it work. That's the mindset you got to have when you enter into something entrepreneurial, a business, service, product, whatever it is you're setting yourself up with no other options, and you have to go all in. And unless you're all in, you're not in. I'll say that again. Unless you're all in, you're not in. There's the Cappies right there. Morning. I'm gonna hang the sign up here. That's an important reminder. We get to do this. I'll explain that one. I'll unpack it sometime for folks. This is the Jiu-Jitsu factory where we make Jiu-Jitsu gis. And this is a couple of cappuccinos. One for the BJJ wheel. What's up? She's gonna get so sick of this thing. And go back. Fresh Cappy.
What are you doing?
This is a book that the team is reading right now. They just started this book club, and so Andy's is Andy running this or you're running this? Andy is. So this is the second book in the book club, and so the team reads this, and then we have like a little book club conversation, book party, and talk about it. So because I don't read, I've never read a book. Actually, I did read a book finally last year. Let me explain this one. I've never read a book. I did. Last year I read my first book of my life. I was 45 years old. Because I had to just prove that I could read one. Something I always struggled with. Just that attention to stay on a page. I'd read it over and over and over, and just was never able to do it. I've listened to audiobooks. I've had them run while I'm doing things. So all the major books that anybody would want to listen to as an entrepreneur, I've listened to, but reading has always been very difficult for me. That's okay. Audiobooks are one of the best inventions of all time. So anyways, American Icon is the one we're going to be listening to. Hey, you should read it with us. Maybe I'll do a little vlog post on on it after we're done. Here's a few that the BJJ Widow likes, aka Amanda Parody Roberts, my wife and chief operating officer. Babe, which ones of these did you like the most? Because these are ones you're displaying here. The Simon Sinek ones, or she liked all these ones. So these are her favorites. What else does she have here? How to win friends and influence people. These ones you give out to people. That's why I have them. So she'll give these different books to people depending on what she thinks they need as an operator. Could be How to Win Friends and Influence People. Could be the 5 Languages of Love. So anyways, she reads books. She probably reads 200 books a year. So she makes up for me. I've been only able to work out 4 days a week, sometimes 5. Traditionally I work out 7 days a week, but man, mid-40s hit, everything fell apart. So I have to get this shoulder replaced. I need to cut the ball off of my shoulder, put a new ball, steel ball in, put a new socket in, and then put plastic in. And now the left one's starting to go, so it's painful. Every time I train, it's painful. And so I need to pace myself out until I get this thing repaired. But this is the road leading to the original factory. And when I said we built a factory in the woods, this is that factory. This is a timber frame building, and this is where we made everything. Now it's all renovated. Down here is mats, so it's all for training jiu-jitsu. There's apartments upstairs for partners to stay in and employees to stay in, and there's a gym. Little weights. Get those shoulders warmed up. All right, 5-minute warm up, and I figured out what I want to do today, and it's just 500 reps. So 500 reps of anything. That could be a mixture of upper body, lower body. I'll do this like once a month. I'm gonna do chest with lightweight bench press, then I'll do lat pull downs with 150 pounds, again lightweight. I'll try to do 100 of superset, so I'll do 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, up to 200 reps total, 100 of each. And I'll probably do some bis, tris, mostly upper body, maybe some lunges, but 500 reps is gonna be the goal today. All right, first 200 reps down. A little glisten, sweat not broken yet. Takes about 20 minutes for that heart rate to be up to get that true dripping sweat. There's a superset. So I'm running the rack for the 10 sets. I'm gonna run heavy to light, and then I'm supersetting that with incline push-ups, because my shoulder can handle that. That's set number 3 of the second round. All right, 400 reps. The sweat's starting to go, and the pump's starting to go. Proportionally, yeah, I'm not a small human. Proportionally speaking, everyone's like, "Wow, I didn't realize you were as big as you were." But tight end in college, you know, and just ultra heavyweight in jiu-jitsu. So not small, but I'm using small weight today, and I think that's important. Yep, 19.5-inch biceps. I'm using lightweight today. On the bench, I did 135, 100 reps. On the lat pull down, I did 150, 100 reps. I just did 100 incline push-ups, a little bit more because I had a little bit more, and I just ran the rack on the dumbbells down to 10s, but I started to go back up because it was too light. So have to lift crazy weight, especially midlife when you're halfway through your life. Why do I need to bench 400 pounds? I'm never going to use that in life, in business, and my pursuits for the second phase of life. So just trying to stay in shape as best I can. Gonna get another 100 reps, that'll be 500, and then probably gonna do a little bit more. Let's go. 623 reps. Full saturation. Why 623? Listen, business is like life. In business, you set a goal and be like, oh, we hit the goal, let's stop. Oh, we hit the number, let's stop. We hit the sessions, let's stop. We hit the conversion rate, let's stop. This is the conversion rate. 500 reps was the goal. 623 is where I got to. So you gotta overperform. Listen, ain't nobody watching. It's me versus me. That's how it's always been in the woods of Maine. Me versus me. I want you to check out this. So this was the original factory. So after the recession, 2008, 2009, I lost everything, and I didn't know what to do. You know, like it was gone. And jiu-jitsu what's kept me sane. And the only thing I could think about doing was taking back what I had lost with my hands and daylight. I used to have a podcast called Hands in Daylight. I need to bring it back, but hands in daylight, it's like whatever you have your body, you have your health, you have your hands, and you have daylight. And that's how our ancestors, that's how the pioneers built America. They didn't have power tools and tractors. They built everything with their hands. And so I was like, what am I gonna do? And so I called some friends and family. I said, I'm gonna build a factory. I wanna build a factory. I didn't know what else to do. Let me try to reinvent the jiu-jitsu gi in the US. And so this timber frame, it was really rough, but we erected this timber frame from the ground out. We cut down a bunch of trees in the forest, and we built this factory. And then I found 2 old LL Bean Singer sewing machines, and we started up a generator, and we just started sewing. You know, we just moved forward. Reckless ambition, stage 1 company. Naive, stage 1 company. Think you can do it, stage 1 company. And it shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have worked. But again, I'll never work for no man. No man. I answer to one God. That's the only one I answer to. And so we built this factory. And then I discovered, shit, I can't even get the freaking fabric that I need to do what I need to do. And so I scoured New England's abandoned mills, and we found an old loom. And we brought that loom back to life. And that loom lived here for 7 years before the world took notice. Now we're year number, shit, I don't even know what year number. But we're down the road, and we're still just getting started. Oh, that's what I needed to clear the mind. I try to do this before eating anything. I did have a coffee this morning. Again, I cycle on and off of coffee. Also Jocko Energy, Jocko Go. I get on that too, sometimes in the morning. But I don't like to eat before I work out. But protein and creatine right after working out. This is my home office. It's pretty nice, but it didn't start this nice. Origin started, and our nutritional company started in the basement of my house, of my cabin. A little 1,200 square foot cabin. Through the wall here, and in that basement, tiny little basement, is where my dream was. It was all inside my head and inside the basement. That's it. And I had to get it out. And being entrepreneurial is getting that idea out of your head and taking action. But it's my sanctuary. I love this. I love this office. It's beautiful. Love that iconic image right there. This is the secret, though. So Jocko Molk, post-workout, 30 grams, high quality protein, and we're gonna go Jocko creatine, and then also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my combat tested. I like to take this with food, and also I have to get my Thigh More, which has NAD3 in it and a bunch of other good shit. I take this every day. About mid-morning after my workout, this is the next step for post-workout. So we did launch the 4 Days of Freedom sale, and it's going pretty good so far. We're trying to move some of the risk out, right? And to do that, we need to move revenue into June, and that'll de-risk both June and July. So a little bit into the day, it's like noontime of day one. You know, sales are around 150 grand. Conversion is up to 7.4%, which is awesome. You know, close to 1,000 orders. So it seems to be working. Most of those orders are coming from our core early adopters. Our newsletter list is, we pruned it down to 1 million people, but quite a newsletter list, and a couple $100,000 text message. So we're kind of carpet bombing the list. That's why Phil was saying yesterday, Operation Midnight Freedom, because we're gonna bomb the list a bit, let everybody know about the sales, an opportunity to get into Origin, and over the next 4 days, it should be pretty good. The balance here is you don't want to like blast it to the world, these aggressive discounts. And so the team wants to know, are we doing any in-platform posts? And what that means is like, are we gonna post on the wall on Instagram that we're doing this sale? And my answer to them is, you have to watch the data. So no would be ideal. No, we hit the lists and it's all we need. We don't want to have to blast this out to the general public. We kind of keep it behind the scenes, this opportunity. It feels exclusive. You drive a little bit of FOMO. But if it doesn't trend in the right direction, of course you got to watch it hour over hour, then you're going to have to pull out all stops, and you're going to have to do in-platform posts and really maybe send some ads out into the market or whatever. So you just got to keep an eye on it. I think that flexibility and having a plan A and a plan B and a plan C is really important in a pivot, because sometimes when you pivot fast, it just doesn't go the way you want. So having levers to pull, right, is really important. You can't just pull one lever all the time. Like you pull the lever, then the customer gets fatigue, and you're degrading the brand. And of course for Origin, like the brand is everything. That's like all that matters. And so there's always tension between brand and marketing, right? And sales and marketing. There's always tension. And I talked about the octopus and the tension that you want. Just remember, if you're climbing, let's say you're climbing a wall, your arms are going in two different directions and you're pulling yourself up. So that's the tension I'm talking about. You need opposing tension to move yourself along. The monster, the octopus, which in our case is a kraken. It's a freaking kraken. This sucker will take down a ship, right? The kraken needs to pull itself along, so those tentacles are reaching out and it's pulling itself along the bottom of the ocean. So you do need that tension to move forward. I think it's really important. And having a plan A and a plan B and a plan C within a pivot, and those different levers are also really important. Anywho, we're gonna keep an eye on how this sale progresses. Phil guessed, it'll drive about $800,000 of accretive revenue to plan, de-risking June and July. JP said about 850 for June and July accretive revenue, which really helps us get out of Q3 and into Q4 in a meaningful way. Remember, we make all of our product for Q4 right now, so we have to spend and build, because Q4 is 60% of our business, is the last 3 months of the year. And so we have to build, we have to weave and knit and dye and cut and sew and stock all the product we need for Q4 right now. And so it gets really expensive. So finance is gonna be happy if we come out of this thing in a positive position.
You should see the clothes they bought me to wear in France.
Yeah?
Not my lane. I'm gonna be a total yuppie. Not a pair of jeans in the bun.
It's okay, that yuppie life. And guess what else they don't have? They don't have those freaking things right there.
What are you talking about? That right there is a little piece of heaven.
Give me a break.
And I got a lot of napkins because I will be wearing a lot of it.
See ya.
When did she get back from the store?
I don't know.
You don't run this place?
No.
Andy.
Yeah, Andy might know.
I don't know. This is about it.
We're bringing Joe to France in a couple of weeks, and we're going to the French Riviera. So Amanda and my mother-in-law have been getting him into a different wardrobe, which he says is yuppie wardrobe. Linen shirts and nice shorts and nice shoes. So I'm definitely going to be capturing some of that when we get there. I try not to schedule anything on Fridays. Fridays is kind of like my pick up the pieces day. I try to prep for next week, of course. I'm usually working all weekend too, but outside of my Square group, which really is on 7 days a week, that Octopus group, they're all weekend they're on, right? They're never shutting off. The rest of the company shuts down. And so if there's any touch points I need to make before the end of the weekend, I try to do that so that I respect everybody's weekend. And I'm not really great about work-life balance with folks, a few folks, and others I try to give a little more grace to, but just like your mind never shutting off, really the business never shuts off either. And so anyways, it's Friday. I'm gonna go get those touch bases done and close out the week.